Okay, if you would like a workable definition of dramatic irony, then look no further than this film. River is about a time loop. It's about a period of time that keeps repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. And this film, in so many ways, is a repeat. It's a repeat of an earlier film, Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, and seemingly is stuck in its own time loop. Okay, Ohio gozaimasu. And ostensibly dismissive as my intro was there, I would like to clarify and in some ways contravene it in this review of River. This is the director Yamaguchi Junta and his theatrical troupe Europe Kikaku. It's their follow-up to the hugely successful, internationally acclaimed and award-winning sci-fi time travel dramedy Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, a film released in 2020. If you haven't seen that film, then you will probably like River a little bit more. If you have, and I will link my online review from my website, culturaljapan.com, below, just to refresh your memory, then you will recognize a hell of a lot in this film. Whether you like it or not, or the extent to which you like it, I guess is predicated on A, how much you liked Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, and B, how much you're willing to jump into the same team, the same writer, director, some of the same actors, riffing very much on exactly the same material. So, in Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, we had a time span of 2 minutes that was, in a very interesting and innovative way, repeated. A man sees himself on his monitor, and through following the instructions from this apparent future self, he ends up becoming that future self, talking to his past self, and around we go. It's all set in and around a single location. The time frame is, as the title suggests, 2 minutes. That's the amount of time in which the protagonist's future self becomes his present self and talks to his past self. And it ultimately resolves itself along lines of the protagonist's attempt to unshackle himself from this bind, the imposition of time travel enforcers helps sort of unpick a cosmic, it seems, mistake, and his attempts to form a relationship with someone who works and lives very near to him ultimately takes center stage. Okay, in River, set not in a small urban sort of cosmopolitan bar, but in a hot springs resort in the mountains, we have a series of characters who, for reasons that again come ultimately down to a kind of fault in the system of official sort of time travelers, time enforcers, in which a series of characters who both work and are currently staying at said resort find themselves repeating 2 minutes. So they progress through 2 minutes, and then jump back to when this sort of apparent cosmic schism occurred, albeit with full knowledge. So they are aware very quickly that they're in this loop. That means they will keep going through the same 2 minutes, but they retain knowledge of what's happened before. Their minds aren't going back to exactly where they were when everything went wrong. So they incrementally sort of build up relationships, plans about what to do, and knowledge about what's happening. This is ultimately, along with the importance of 2 minutes of time, another sort of lightly serio-comic drama comedy, although the tone, much like the river, the eponymous river that flows through the small mountain resort, is very effervescent. It's bubbling, it's flowing, it's sort of crisp and clear. As with Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, you sort of take at face value this cosmic concept of time travel being a possibility, or you reject everything outright. This is sort of made with spit and polish, as it were. There's no attempt to sort of grapple with any serious philosophical ideas. There's no attempt to address any of the paradoxes that are often indexed to time travel culturally in cinema and literature, what have you. This is like if we see certain time travel works as being, you know, like hard sci-fi, then Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes and here River, which was made in 2023, are like Ray Bradbury in something like The Martian Chronicles. It's, you can travel to Mars, you can set up home there, that's fine. The ins and outs, the whys and the wherefores, the precise mechanics, we take it all for granted. Bradbury's not interested at all in that, and neither is Yamaguchi and his team interested in anything to do with time travel, other than taking a kind of novel approach, the notion of the 2 minute time loop, and the way that affects the sort of relationships and the activities of the characters who are stuck in said loop. As well as these similarities, there is also the technical and stylistic features of both films. Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes wasn't quite shot in one single take, but the effect of the film is that it all unfolds even, in one single take, which is a really neat conceit, given that the film is playing with time, that we have essentially a real-time aesthetic developed through the effect of having a single sequence shot detailing and capturing the whole narrative. We don't have that here, but once we get into this meat of the narrative, whereby we have these 2 minute time chunks that are then repeated, each of the 2 minute blocks, if you like, when the narrative is looping, is captured in a single long take, and the characters, as they each move through the different inns in the Hot Springs Resort and the surrounding environs, the camera, sort of handheld camera, although not in the kind of aesthetic of the shaky cam, follows them round. So essentially this film unfolds in a series of fairly long takes, sequence shots, until the very end when there's some editing. The characters here are an assorted bunch. We have a young girl who is the protagonist who works at the inn, and several of her co-workers, a middle-aged man and a middle-aged woman in particular. And then several guests. There's two young men who are staying there who end up bickering with each other. There's a novelist who is secreted away at this resort, trying to finish the latest installment of his serialized novel and singularly failing to do so. And there's, I think, his agent who comically is taking a shower when the time loops begin. So he keeps having to appear soaking wet with soap in his hair from the shower every time the 2 minutes sort of resets, and his nakedness, not complete nakedness, he runs about with a towel around him, but nonetheless that is something that the various ladies in and around the resort are less than enthusiastic about seeing, and that's quite an amusing running gag. And then there is also the chef at the resort, and it transpires, and this is where another echo of the relationship that develops in Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes. We get a kind of backstory unfolding where these two have been romantically involved. They've not quite consummated their relationship, but they've been close for a long time. And the chef is intent on moving to France to learn the art of French cuisine, and the girl is desirous of him not going. She doesn't want him to go. And there's a slight sort of subplot at times where she thinks that it's her wishing for time to, as it were, stand still so that he doesn't go, that is causing this this time loop, that she's praying to a local god of the river, and that is sort of that is putting a block on time progressing in a linear fashion. So all these are stories that, as the time loops keep occurring, these stories keep sort of colliding into each other. They keep overlapping as characters are sort of rushing here, there and everywhere. So much like its predecessor, there is an interesting sort of technical conceit here. And of course, the way in which this has obviously all been meticulously planned and plotted is, you know, it's a technical accomplishment. It's a technical feat that that I think we should celebrate, even if it's not really showy. And neither was it in Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes. It's not self-aggrandizing or sort of grandiloquent, and it's all the better for that. So I will stress, I think, and it's fair to do so, that it's typically only the law of diminishing returns that lessens the impact of River. The fact that it is not even apologetically covering in many ways the same territory as Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, and indeed riffing on a distinctive take on time travel that takes us even further back to Yuri Kiku's earlier film, Summertime Machine Blues, which has just been not long since released by Third Window, and is well worth a look. I've heard the director talking about the writer of this film coming up with a sequel to Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, and the group as a whole discussing new time travel projects. So it seems they've got it firmly ensconced in their collective consciousness that time travel narratives are what they do. If you haven't seen either Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes or Summertime Machine Blues, then you will, I'm sure, be seduced by River. As I said, it's warm, it's unassuming in many ways. It's unapologetically emotional. It does have a distinctive take on time travel that touches on kind of a more accessible notion of time travel. I think we're used to time travel narratives where grand questions are asked and where, you know, the possibilities of going thousands and thousands of years into the past or the future opens up vastly different and exotic worlds. So there is a sort of a sly contravention of, you know, the typical setup and the typical development, the typical specifics of a time travel narrative. And it does this in a way that kind of makes time travel accessible, and that plays with notions of time that are accessible. I mean, the notion of the character wishing for fundamentally, essentially, time to stand still is something that we can all relate to. We've all had a moment where we think, oh, I wish this moment could last. I wish this moment could go on. And this applies to other characters. I mean, there's a very sort of deceptively moving moment where the two guys who are staying together at the inn talk about how they've got kind of a lot hanging over them. There's a lot weighing on their shoulders in their lives, and they'd just come for a bit of respite to the inn, and they were desirous of time stopping because they were just enjoying being free of, you know, pressures, burdens, responsibilities, the strictures of domestic life on the one hand and professional life on the other. And similarly, the writer is struggling to continue with his serialized novel, and there's both emotional substance and some really smart comedy about what he does when he feels free of the sort of looming deadline of the latest installment of his work. I won't go into any of this, but there's some interesting gags about being sort of essentially abstracted from normal everyday sort of laws, if you like, and what you might do in that situation. And this goes from very minor to very major very quickly. So just as in Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, there is a nice sort of exploration here of the sort of very almost mundane, quotidian effects and consequences of this time loop. And it's very easy to sort of put ourselves in the position of the characters and kind of understand their reasonings, their actions, their attitudes, and it's never less than involving, engaging. It's very watchable. The location of the hot springs, I think it was filmed in Kyoto around late winter going into early spring, is beautiful. And this offers another justification because it feels like we're in a kind of time capsule. It feels like we're in a location and a natural space that has remained unchanged for, you know, hundreds of years, thousands, millennia. It feels like something that exists kind of outside of the quote unquote normal time of, you know, metropolitan or urban Japan, or, you know, metropolitan urban anywhere, where time is very ordered, very strictly regimented. Here, time feels looser. And just to go to a place like this feels like stepping either back in time or out of time. So it's a very apt location. So I definitely would recommend you watch this film. Just bear in mind that, you know, for those involved, and if you've seen Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, you have kind of seen this. You'll see where it's going. This may not lessen your enjoyment. I mean, the fact of having different riffs made on material, you know, it's something that other directors, I'm thinking of Woody Allen in particular, have built their careers round. And although one could hardly say that that's been an unqualified success in any way, it is distinctive, and there are those who ardently support that, who genuinely like what the director does and has done, and kind of enjoy seeing him riff on that. So you may well find this, you know, as engaging and interesting as Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes. I didn't quite, but it's an easy and a pleasing watch. You'll, I'm sure, come to the end with a big smile on your face. You know, it's less than an hour and a half, which is refreshing these days. It, you know, it doesn't outstay its welcome. It unpicks its conceit in interesting ways. It does justice to it without labouring any points or indulging itself. So it's definitely worth a watch. It's just kind of more of the same, if you like. Once more with feeling, you may say, except there will be other once mores. So give it a look, comment, get in touch with me, let me know what you think. Certainly look out this director and this group's other films. Comment, like, subscribe, do it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this useful, entertaining, informative. Stay tuned for much more to come in the very near future. Goodbye for now. Okay, if you would like a workable definition of dramatic irony, then look no further than this film. River is about a time